Hello friends, welcome to the high desert of northern Arizona. I'm about to head out on a long run with this Sony ZV-E10. I have played around with it at home to get to know it and to customize all the settings. But right now, I'm going to head out with it on the ultimate test, which is on a long trail run. Is this thing going to be the ultimate in easy vlogger usability? That's the question I'm going to answer today, along with a few other things. I'll share lots of photos and videos. And right now, pardon me, I'm getting a text message in my in my satellite communicator. Safety first, everybody. Anyway, in case you're new here, my name is Leigh. I have been sharing videos here on this YouTube channel for well over a decade, and I talk about anything where you might have a camera in your hand. Today it's a gear review, tomorrow it might be technique. I have complete courses. I have all kinds of stuff. We'll talk about that more at the end of this video. When I wrap the whole thing up, subscribe if you like this at any point, and hit the like button. Okay. Let's jump backwards in time to my studio where I can give you a little bit of a body tour, and I'm going to head out on the trail. This is a compact little body. You can see that the lens mount actually reaches from top to bottom. It does have a small grip though, which makes the body easier to hold on to. You can see on the top that there is a large video record button, as well as a couple of additional buttons for quick settings adjustments. Similarly, the back also has buttons, many of which are customizable, and a small ridge for your thumb to rest against that helps you hang on to the camera. And then of course, any good vlogging camera these days has a flip out screen that allows you to see yourself as you are filming. That being said, there is no viewfinder, so you can only use the LCD. These ports allow you more flexibility as well. There's an audio jack, a headphone jack, as well as HDMI and USB-C. You'll see the one SD card slot behind the same door as this small battery. I will come back to battery life later in this video. One thing I didn't mention yet on top of the camera is the onboard microphone, which is a 3-capsule directional microphone, and the camera comes with this nifty windscreen, which fits into the hot shoe. I'll talk more about the microphone later. All right, I'm a couple miles in. The reason that I chose to rent this setup was because enough folks have asked me about starting a YouTube channel. Enough viewers want to start their own YouTube channels, not necessarily about photography. In fact, most people don't want to set up a channel about photography. They want to talk about something else entirely. So, we need to tell Raymond to stop bothering me, because every time I've pulled my camera out, he texts me. So anyway, back to my story. When those folks want to start their YouTube channel and record themselves, they need something that's easy to use. They need something where the camera is going to virtually disappear, where it's not something that they're going to be fumbling with the whole time. What the vlogger or YouTuber, creator, whatever you want to call the person, what they should be focusing on is telling their story, showing the viewer what they want to show the viewer, and not fumbling with the camera. So that's where a camera like this should excel. So let's talk a little bit about some of the features that help you to have the camera disappear. It has quite a lot of flexibility, meaning buttons and dials on the body so that you can make settings adjustments. You can even customize a lot of the controls, but as with other Sony cameras, there are a ton of options in the menus. Advanced autofocus options, like how fast you want the camera to focus. You can choose your stabilization strength, and of course, you can use all of the Sony E-mount lenses, which provides another layer of flexibility. I filmed the majority of my videos using the Intelligent Auto option because I wanted to see how easy it could be for someone to pick up the camera and use it. However, I did sometimes switch from the top frame rate for 4K footage, 30 frames per second, to 1080 60p or even 1080 120p occasionally. I know in my YouTube videos that I can upscale the periodic 1080p clip to 4K and no one will notice. I actually added this option to my favorites menu so that it was easily accessible on the go. The other thing that I adjusted for video was the stabilization mode between regular and active.
This active mode is stronger, but you do end up with a crop, so I didn't always want it on. For still photos, I actually took a bit more control. I had the camera set to aperture priority with auto ISO, and I dialed in exposure compensation when needed using a button on the back of the camera. Another large part of flexibility and ease of use is size. This camera is small and lightweight, especially with the small lens I had on it. More on that in a moment, but I carried it on a small tripod throughout my run. Having a small rig that I could carry while running meant I didn't have to wrangle the camera out of my pack every time I wanted to capture something. And that meant I gathered a lot more content.
Hey look, the sun came out. So the reason that I rented this camera body with the kit lens, which is the 16 to 50 millimeter f3.5 to 5.6 power zoom OSS lens, is that because a lot of the folks that have asked me about vlogging and starting a YouTube channel aren't necessarily focused on photography. This is the kit lens. You can buy the camera by itself, but this is the lens that Sony has paired with it for the kit. This is the lens that's going to get used the most. So that's what I am focusing on. Also, it's, quite compact. So it's really the only lens that I considered for bringing along on our long trail run where I'm literally holding the camera the entire time.
The 16 to 50 millimeter is truly a natural companion for this body. That being said, you can use all of the E-mount lenses, ultra wide through super telephoto. You want to use the absolutely stupendous 24 millimeter f1.4 G Master? Sure. The massive 200 to 600 millimeter? Do it. Though it may look a little unbalanced, I've used this lens on Sony's Alpha 6000 series of bodies, which are about the same size as the ZV-E10, but those bodies have a viewfinder, which makes shooting a large lens handheld much easier. If you are using a large lens on the ZV-E10, you may consider a tripod or at least a monopod. Sony does have a number of APS-C optimized lenses, which are more compact than their full-frame counterparts, as do some independent lens manufacturers. One more thing about the kit lens, though. 16 millimeters to 50 millimeters on this APS-C sensor gives you an effective field of view of 24 millimeters to 75 millimeters, with apertures ranging from f3.5 on the wide end to f5.6 on the long end. If you are looking at this kit, you are able to achieve a relatively shallow depth of field. One cool feature of this camera is that one of the buttons on the top is the background defocus button, which will allow you to use the widest apertures available on your lens, even in bright conditions.
Well, I am kind of hunkered down in the shade right here, and it's kind of windy, and I'm relatively near a highway. I thought right now would be a good time to discuss audio. In the first several clips that you would have seen from me, there was relatively little wind. Right now, the wind is really picking up. So, on this camera, it does have an kind of enhanced microphone so that you are able to use on-camera audio more easily. I do have the wind sock that comes with the camera on it right now. I use that on my ZV-1. In fact, my ZV-1 is the only camera that I use the onboard audio for. Sometimes I do it with my action cameras kind of just for fun, but for videos that I would share with the channel, generally I'm using off-camera audio, a lavalier mic, and I am syncing it with my video in Final Cut Pro. Two reasons for that are, one, I'm relatively quiet, so that it's just difficult for the camera to pick up my audio, but also audio is important when you are sharing videos, so I want it to be as crisp and clear as possible. So, as you can hear, a highway in the background, as there's a lot of wind going on, as I'm pretty quiet, what do you think? All right, I am 8 miles ish, and whoa, this one's loud. Sorry about that. I am 8 miles and a couple of hours or so in, and the camera is at 25%. I have taken a significant amount of photos and video. I did play in the menus a little bit, but that's the deal with that. I definitely am glad that I brought my power bank and a USB-C cable. I am going to leave my power bank in here, plug that camera in, and just hopefully be able to still move my arms and run for a while with the camera plugged in. Sorry, I just went under the highway that I was pointing out earlier. I finally crossed it. Anyway, I'm, I don't know, I have like 5 miles or so left. So we'll see what else I can come up with.
Simply plugging the camera into my battery bank charged me up enough to get through those last miles and to continue to capture my environment. In fact, those camera batteries are so tiny, carrying a couple extras around would be so easy. Also, as I show you this clip of me wrangling my battery pack and some snacks out of my hydration vest, this is why I emphasized how nice it was to have a compact setup that I could carry. Stopping mid-run, or for you, stopping mid-whatever it is that you're doing, to get a larger camera out of your pack can be a bit of a killjoy and can break your stride. The moment may have passed by the time you get the camera unpacked. Now, I often carry a big camera pack and large rigs, but for those times when time is of the essence, I can't overstate how important ease of use and portability can be for a camera.
I'm done. It's evening time. There's a couple of mountain bikers also getting to the parking lot at the same time if you hear some noise. But the one thing that we haven't talked about today is image quality or video quality. And look, there is not one camera on the market today that doesn't have absolutely incredible image quality. Of course, your lens is going to make a huge difference, but likewise, if you're getting a lens in the last handful of years, or really any of the Sony lenses, they're great. So yeah, some of them have more clarity than others, some of them open up to wider apertures than others, but I'm a little hoarse from all the dust today, I think. But what I think that you should do is I'm going to roll some photos, roll some video right now that I have captured throughout the day, and you can decide for yourself if you think that this camera is good enough in the image quality and video quality performance areas. And I also will do one last test with this, and that is to put it side by side with my own Sony ZV-E10, and we will see really what the differences are between the two. But not right now. Right now, I need to eat some dinner and take a shower. I'll meet you back in the studio. Last test. I am in my studio and I have my ZV-E10, my rented ZV-E10 and kit lens set up next to my own ZV-1. I am using the widest available aperture and the widest available focal length on both cameras. On both cameras, I am using the onboard audio, though I did take the windsock off of both cameras. And because I am using intelligent auto for video, it's choosing all of my settings. It's choosing white balance, it's choosing the aperture and shutter speed and everything. It is choosing the widest available aperture for both cameras. So on the ZV-E10 and this kit lens, the widest available aperture is f3.5. On my ZV-1, in its affixed lens, the widest available aperture at the widest focal length is f1.8. Though this camera does appear to be going back and forth between f1.8 and f2. That's something that when you are in intelligent auto, it's something that is a reason that you would use intelligent auto. The camera is going to, as you move around, make settings changes. So it's not a problem that it's changing, it's actually an asset. It's just metering differently, especially as I have my hands up and such. So my point here is, listen to the audio difference between the two cameras. Is there a difference? I don't know because I haven't looked yet, but how do they sound? Does the ZV-E10 sound any better or different than the Sony ZV-1? And in addition to that, something that is just as important is how does it look? Like I said, the camera's choosing all of the settings. I could certainly make this look different, possibly better, but how does it look? In particular, the Sony ZV-1 has a 1-inch sensor. The Sony ZV-E10 has an APS-C sensor. So how does my background look? I am using different lenses. I'm using a different aperture in each, but considering that the lens on the ZV-1 is affixed, you're not changing that. And the lens on the ZV-E10 is the kit lens that you could potentially buy it with, and a lot of people are just going to use this lens. I think it's a fair comparison. How does it look in the background? Does it look more blurry or less blurry on one of these cameras? Does it matter to you? And that is all for this test.
So what did you think of the ZV-E10 overall? I think it's a wonderful option for someone who wants a camera that has an emphasis on video, and quick video at that. You can set it and forget it, or you can take full manual control. You can use the onboard audio or use an external mic. Plus, you can use all of the E-mount lenses. However, remember that Sony also has that ZV-1. It's smaller, but also has the smaller 1-inch sensor and doesn't have interchangeable lenses. For the run that I did, it would have been just as good. Of course, Sony also offers other camera bodies with very good video capabilities, as do other brands. The real difference with the Sony ZV bodies, as opposed to the Alpha 6000 series or the larger Alpha 7 series, is the ease of use and a small form factor for video. So I posed the question at the beginning of this video: is it a good camera for someone who needs a quick but still high quality video solution? And yeah, it definitely is, but there are other good options as well. The choice is really a balance of the features that you are looking for. Of course, with any camera, you should get to know the settings so that you can customize how the camera behaves, like what you want the buttons and dials to control, the autofocus settings. Remember that you've got Sony's incredibly good autofocus with this camera, but you do need to understand the settings to get the most out of them. And that's all for today. I will add a few links in the description of this video to the ZV-E10, to a couple of my other videos like my review of the ZV-1. Please do give this video a like and subscribe if you haven't already. And thank you for watching.